Hello Keith Howes.
Hello William Broom.
So we're here in Wollstonecraft in the Greenwich area of Sydney.
Yes.
We're doing bush regeneration. What is bush regeneration?
Bush regeneration is basically weeding, but it's weeding done in a systematic and scientific way to make sure that the native plants that belong to this area, and have belonged to this area for thousands and thousands of years, get the chance to grow and to flourish, so that eventually all the plants that aren't native will disappear and all the plants that are native will stay. In other words, the seed bed that's underneath where we're standing is going to be full of native seeds. But when there are weeds on top, those native seeds don't stand a chance. So we're here to give them a bit of help, and then eventually, that's why we call it regeneration. They will regenerate, they will come out from their suffocated state under the earth, and they will flourish and be beautiful, and we will have native bushland back again.
So tell me,
Yes.
what do you get out of bush regeneration?
I couldn't begin to tell you what I get out of bush regeneration. I look forward to coming to work every day. Now that's pretty good, isn't it, for a job? I love the people I work with. I love the peace, I love the air, I love the sense of connection with nature, not just the plants, but also the trees, also the animals, also the birds, the insects. You've got your hands in the earth. You're seeing that interconnectedness that we all have. So all this kind of stuff that you read about in theory, we're actually doing in practice.
Is it all very spiritual?
Is it spiritual? Well, anything can be spiritual, can't it? It's very practical, but out of practicality and systematization comes a sense of reality. And from a sense of reality comes a sense of spirituality, because you know that this is the real world. This is what it's really all about. And all the other material stuff doesn't really mean so much. We're about bringing back a quality of life.
So this must be very different from your background. How does a boy from England end up doing this in the Australian bush?
Well, if you want to be spooky about it, and I know you do, I was told many years ago that I would be working in the Australian bush. I was told by someone that was very powerful within the spiritualist movement, and I just said nonsense. I did a bit of gardening like we all do, a bit of pottering around, a bit of weeding, but I had no real interest in native plants at all. And then one very special day I was at a party. It was a party I didn't want to go to, and I talked to someone that I'd known a few years, just very casually, and I said, in the time-honoured fashion, "What do you do?" And he said, "I'm a bush regenerator." And with that, this great electric light lit up above my head, and I said, "I'd like to do that." And afterwards I thought, no, I wouldn't. What am I talking about? But too late. Too late. The die was cast. Richard said, "We can find a place for you on our team for 6 weeks. You can see whether you like us, and they can see whether they like you." 12 years later, I am still a bush regenerator, and I'm very proud to call myself a bush regenerator. It's a wonderful job. It's enviable because we are working in beautiful surroundings with our beautiful native Australian plants, and the birds, and the insects, even some spiders that perhaps are not too pleased to see us, and some ants that certainly aren't pleased to see us sometimes. We get bitten, we have to run sometimes, and occasionally we'll see some snakes, and we just have to be very respectful.
And it's definitely improved your quality of life.
I think so. I think I'm fitter, I think I'm happier, I'm healthier, I'm a nicer person, I'm a more aware person. I'm not such a totally devoted to the material world as I once was. And as I said, I go to bed at night looking forward to coming to work, and I wake up and I look forward to coming
And
to
a
work.
couple more questions. How does this work? Is it a co-op?
Yes, well, I think that I will introduce you to Richard later on. He can tell you more about that aspect of it. It's something that I was not involved in the early days. I'm a worker at the co-op. I'm not actually a member of the co-op as such, but it's been going for a number of years. It's very successful. It's very highly respected, and you get paid every month.
Would you recommend it to everyone?
I would recommend it to anyone that can walk, that can squat, has their knees aren't too creaky. I would recommend it to anyone from 18 to 80.
What have we got here?
Well, you've got, this is called a plismonus, which is basket grass, And that's a lovely ground cover. And once you cover the ground with natives, other natives come up. It's almost like a kind of bush telegraph that they seem to understand that now it's safe to come up. So I'm now looking for the weeds amid all this grass, and there should be a weed called Ehrharta, which is a weed that is greatly prized by some because it's very good budgie seed, but it's not prized by us, and here it is. I've got it. I've seen you. See, it lurks very cunningly amid the other grasses, and you just put your knife in around here. There you are. And it goes into the bag, and that's one less weed, which means there's a more chance for a native to come up.
You make it look so easy.
It's glorious.
Did it take you time to get the knack of it?
It took me the longest time. The longest time, I think, my friend Richard, who introduced me to it, described it as a quantum leap, and it certainly was, because I knew nothing. I knew nothing about native plants at all, certainly nothing about the difference between plants in Lane Cove as distinct from plants in Wollongong or other plants in New South Wales, because each area has its own particular plants. So we have to try and bring the plants from the particular area back.
So what's your favourite activity?
I love this. I love my grasses. I love fossicking. You know, seeing tiny little plants that shouldn't be there, and seeing when you come back all this growth, because this was weed. This was all weed around here, and now look at it. This lovely feathery light grass that encourages other plants to come and set up house.
So who were your biggest influences regarding bush regeneration and gardening?
Well, my two biggest influences were, first of all, Richard, who was the person that introduced it to me in the first place, but also to the Bradley sisters. These were two scientifically trained women who took their kelpie for a walk in the morning and the evening and came across weeds as they walked through the bush, and they'd pluck a few weeds out, and they noticed that if you take weeds from around a native, more natives come. If you take just weeds, more weeds come. So if you see a fern, for example, and it's got weeds around it, and you see a patch of weeds, you don't touch the patch of weeds, you take the weeds from around the fern. And we have a saying in bush regeneration, which is you go from the good bush to the bad. So you don't immediately pile in and start weeding, because you'll clear the ground, which will make it light so that more weeds will come back. You go for that little one native. And I think it's true in life. If you go into a party and there are a group of people scowling at you and there's one person smiling, which one are you going to go up to? Which group are you going to go up to? It's more important to start off with someone that you feel comfortable with, and then you can move out perhaps into those more challenging areas, and that's what we do. So we start small and we just grow outwards.